Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. This is from Concerned Christians Outreach. We thank God for giving us another opportunity to come before you today. Now, I have explained to you several times why I haven't said in my message that it is expedient for you to manage your marriage and your family very well. Because when Jesus comes for his beloved and anointed people for his everlasting kingdom, they are going to check how you manage your marriage and family. Because all we do in this world radiates around the family. And the family is the foundation of the society. And in order for you to be qualified, we have advised you to make your home a miniature church where the characteristics of God and Jesus Christ will be well displayed. But today, we want to look at something which is similar to a miniature church. And this is house church. Your home is a house church. You know, when we talk of a miniature church, we talk of your home as a miniature church, we are talking about the father being the chief priest, and the mother, the children, and people who live with them. But in an house church, this one has expanded, because that church now embraces members of the family from the neighborhood. People will come from other places. So, for some weeks, we have been considering how we can make our home a miniature church. And this distinguishes it from ordinary homes, because it is a good sign that your home is a Christian home. Today, we want to see how your home can be used as a house church. A house or home church is a label used to describe a group of Christians who regularly gather for worship in private homes. The group may be part of a larger Christian body, such as a parish, but sometimes have been independent groups that see the house church as the primary form of Christian community. We learned that the house church in the Bible contributed to the phenomenal growth of the early church from 120 members before Pentecost to between 12 and 15,000 people few weeks after Pentecost. The house church really helped in this phenomenal growth because the disciples saw it as a way in which they shared with each other and preached to people the words of God. Membership is not limited to the family now, the hosting family, but other families come and join them. People meet in small groups, in houses or homes, because the membership is small, and a home is the most appropriate place to assemble. In some countries like China, where Christian congregation is banned, people meet in this small group. Nowadays, some Christian writers have supported the view that the Christian church should meet in houses and have based the operation of their communities around multiple small home meetings. Other Christian groups choose to meet in houses when they are in the early phases of church development. People have different opinions about these home churches. Some see it as a more effective way of building community and personal relationships, and it helps the group in outreach more naturally. Some believe there were a deliberate apostolic pattern in the first century, and they were intended for Christ. The New Testament shows that the early Christian church exhibited a richness of fellowship and interactive practice that are not found in conventional denominations. Though the early church met in houses because of persecution, we cannot rule out the fact that they work closely with each other and share their lives in Christ together. Let us briefly look at good and bad sides of house church. First, many are excellent in discipleship. They focus on the simple elements of discipleship, which enhance the effectiveness to rapid reproduction. Second, house churches are simple and stripped of uglies and glamour. As a result, people are reached with the gospel through relationship. Third, house churches often release believers into areas of leadership and serve at a higher rate than other models. House churches do not have to worry about adding additional ministries in order to keep people committed or entertained. There are some bad sides of house churches. House churches tend to attract dissatisfied people. Sometimes the angry members of evangelical mega churches. People who are from bigger churches who are angry for one reason or the other, they come out, they leave the church, and they go to house churches. Also, most house churches are not places where one will find the singing to be excellent if you are the type that like singing and dancing. The teaching and preaching to be proficient, because people will be preaching there. They are not, in most cases, trained pastors also. And the youth children program to be safe, secure, and engaging. As earlier said, the early church in the Bible started as house church. In Acts 1, verse 13, the disciples met at the upper room of a house. The house of Priscilla and Aquila was also used as house church. We can see this in Romans 16, 3 and 5, Colossians 4, verse 15. It also talks about the house church in Laodicea and in the house of Nymphas. House churches were used by Christians who ran away from persecution. We should note that they provided the poor among them materially and spiritually. In modern Christianity, do we still have house churches? Even in Nigeria, do we have or still have house churches? Right from the beginning of Christianity in Nigeria, house churches were only used as a stepping stone for bigger churches. People worship in houses of volunteer families for the period they are building the main church. Once it is completed, there is no more use of the house church. And because of the persecution of Christians in the northern part of Nigeria today, where Christians are tortured, lamed, and killed, and churches burnt, many Christians now meet for worship in homes of volunteer members. They do this even under fear of persecution, but faith in God for their protection. If people do not volunteer their houses for worship, then there is the fear of Christianity being extinct in this part of the country. If in other parts of the country in Nigeria, house churches should be more encouraged, especially at this time of economic downturn. Many Christians will run away from churches where projects are going on because of the fear of contributing money. This money is very scarce with the economic downturn in the country. So Christians who feel they cannot live up to the expectations in big churches can have a place of worship for their contentment in house churches. Our churches should then have more time for teaching and preaching and more intercommunal care and relationship. If there are more of this type of churches in community, there is every possibility of reaching most of the people who live in that area. So, my dear listener, here is another way of finding a place to worship God. That is, volunteer your house. Volunteer your house for people to come and worship God. That is, if you are too far away from places where we have mega churches, then and there is no money to build, you can imagine how much you will spend to build a church now. So volunteer your house and let people come and then work for God. May God bless us.